I'm going to wrap up my thoughts on borderline personality disorder and the female population in general, generally speaking, and my observations anecdotally that this, whatever you want to call it, syndrome, affliction, pattern of behavior is well well enmeshed into much of the human female population of the Western world today. And again, I'm only going by anecdotal evidence, so you can hold that against me if you want. But I'm admitting to it. I'm admitting this is not, a double-blind scientific study. I'm only saying, reaching certain conclusions or asking certain questions based on the evidence of what I have observed, both personally and with respect to observation. Now, I wanted to begin this final video on this subject that I'm going to do. For now, maybe I'll return to the subject later, who knows. But I want to begin by a recollection that I had about a friend of mine. This was when my friend and I were both college age. We were maybe 20, 21, thereabouts. So youngish guys. And this friend of mine was just getting out of a relationship, a tumultuous relationship, tempestuous relationship with a very unstable girl, and he was telling me a little bit about his ordeal, and I remember this very, very well, very vividly. He told me that there was a time when she asked him, "What's your favorite thing about making love?" Now, I laugh because that's one of those questions. If your girl asks you that question, danger, 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 danger. She has an answer in mind that she wants you to, she says something that, she's asking it like it's open-ended, but she definitely wants you to say something in particular. So try to figure out what it is, or just find some way to get out of having to answer this question. But of course, my friend, being naive as I was, and as many men are, even, and we were both young, but even into their 30s and 40s, a lot of men are still quite naive in this regard. Being naive, he answered honestly, and he just said something like, "Oh, just two naked bodies intensely intertwined," or something like that. Two sweaty naked bodies passionately intertwined. And guess what? That was the wrong answer. Can you guess what the right answer was? Well, I don't know if there was a specific right answer, but there was a spectrum of right answers. The right answer, she got offended by his answer because his answer didn't have anything to do with her. Right? He was supposed to take his cue and to say, "Oh, it's just how beautiful you are, and how much I love you, and how beautiful you are, and the look in your eyes, and how wonderful you are, and how great it is to be with you." And that was what she wanted. She was asking for validation. She was asking for him to pay her a compliment. when she was asking this open-ended question, and she got mad at him for answering honestly instead of answering in a way that instead of picking up on the cue that he was supposed to pick up on, and saying the thing that he was supposed to say, which was about her. Now, I have to add that at the time this all happened, I heard my friend's story, and he was upset with himself. He said, and afterwards, I felt so sleazy. Um, so really, she abused him, not physically, but she held it over him, made him feel terrible, made him feel like he had transgressed, like he had really crossed the line, and just really torn her to shreds, done something mean and awful by answering the way that he did. When his answer wasn't anything insulting, it wasn't anything that she ought to have taken personally. It's just that she had an answer in mind, and it succeeded. He was successfully, people didn't say gaslit back then, but he was successfully gaslit. And even I, at the time, when I heard his story, I didn't think to myself, boy, what is with this crazy woman, asking a question and then getting mad when you answer honestly. I thought to myself, yeah, well, I guess he was kind of insensitive in his answer. Because I was dumb back then too, just like my friend, just like so many men continue to be. It's really exhausting when everything is a test. It's really exhausting when everything is a test. And that's why, it's something that, that's why modern relationships are something that I understand the appeal of opting out. Because if you're just going to be tested like this, in this ridiculous kind of manner where you give an honest answer, and it's not even a bad answer, it's just the first thing that you can think of, and you're going to be crucified for it, shamed for it. You'll be made to feel like you're just an utter and complete jerk. When you all you did was answer something honestly, and you weren't even insensitive. You didn't say anything. Anyway, I've made that point already. No need to repeat myself. So this seems to be indicative of the borderline proclivity, which again, it's a spectrum, and I think that, and I don't say this in a spirit of anti-woman ness or anti anything or pro anything or with any kind of agenda, but I do think that for whatever reason there are a whole lot of women today who are this way. Whether, again, it's a spectrum, whether they're mostly nice, normal, and pleasant, but sometimes this can come out every now and then. That would be a very mild case of it, to just, whoa, crazy through the roof, always self-destructive, always angry, always doing crazy things that would seem to be not in her best interest, and always down on you, always making you feel like shit, always emotionally manipulating you into thinking that you are mistreating her, when you're doing nothing but, say, answering questions honestly, or giving your honest opinion, or I don't know, not passing this test, not passing that test, the shit tests, that we hear about so often. I don't want to I'm not interested in, personally speaking, I'm not interested in passing or failing any more shit tests. It's I'm not taking that exam. The only way to win is not to play. War games. I'm You want me to fill out that bubble sheet? I'm just going to take my number 2 pencil, put it down on my desk, and then slide my blank sheet of paper and say, I'm finished, ma'am. You can take my test now. Because I'm not taking it. I'm not taking a shit test. Again, it's not happening. So this still leaves open the question. Everything that I'm talking about, it still leaves open the question of where this has originated, where this all comes from. And I know there are people out there who are just going to say, "Oh, this is just bitches being bitches. This is just female nature." And I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that. I don't think that people, men or women, should be given that kind of excuse. It would be like if someone were to say, "Oh well, men committing rape, that's just male nature. Men being unfaithful to their spouses, that's just male nature." I don't buy that. That's not who we are. That's not who we're meant to be. You can say that I'm still being naive, I guess. But, I'm not naive the same way I was when I was 20 or 21. I still don't believe that we were created to be monsters. Okay? Obviously, there are things we are meant to be able to defend ourselves. We are meant to be able to protect ourselves under certain circumstances, and that's perfectly reasonable. But developing this set of behaviors where you just become this whirling dervish of complete chaos and destruction and destructiveness to everything around you, and just this mean, sadistic, awful sort of person. I don't buy that anyone, male or female, is meant to be that way. Okay? I don't buy that that's just our nature. That's an excuse. So where does it come from? I think this is something I'm actually open to. I mentioned this before. Early Freudian theory was heavily centered upon the notion that lots of children were abused. That abuse was sort of endemic amongst the sort of people that Freud saw, which is to say the upper middle class. And so he had these theories early on about what he called child seduction taking place. That was to say, what we would call molestation or abuse, sexual abuse. But later on, he changed that theory and came to the conclusion that little boys and little girls actually had this forbidden desire to be with their opposite sex parent sexually, the Oedipus complex for boys, and the Electra complex for girls. And so he changed. Obviously, one can read things one can read why Freud chose to go this way, that he saw it would be more profitable, because after all, he was part of this alien subgroup, this subculture that dwelt mostly amongst their own kind, and he wanted to be more acceptable to wide Victorian culture, and particularly those who had some dough, right? So that he could have patrons to continue his work. And he very successfully and skillfully did that. Unfortunately, perhaps turning his back on the truth in so doing. So why am I saying all of this? I mean, the fact that this kind of behavior is so endemic seems to me to be so endemic to such a large extent for so many women. It makes me wonder if abuse is more rife than we think that it is. Because someone who is abused at a young age it messes with your wiring. It changes you. It makes your normal defenses, much more. I don't know. It scatters them. It scatters, smothers, covers, chunks, and tops them, to use a Waffle House metaphor. You change. You become a different kind of person. Obviously, it messes with your sense of self. It messes with your you feel like you're never safe, and you take steps accordingly from there. Now, if abuse is to blame for women's behavior, the same must be said analogously about men's behavior, because I don't believe that only female children are being abused. I think if this childhood abuse thing is more, again, if not endemic, then more rife than we think it is, or than we would like it to be, then it's happening to both men and women. So why are we not seeing so many borderline behaving men? I would theorize that boys and men respond differently to abuse than girls and women do. There's still the same kind of however they respond, they respond from a similar stimuli. A sense of having been violated at a young age by someone who was supposed to be trustworthy, and from that you reach certain conclusions that you're not safe, and that the ones who are supposed to protect you are not going to protect you. I suspect that if you are a boy growing into a man, you respond to this stimuli in a different sort of way that might be equally as I don't want to say psychotic, but equally as ultimately unhelpful to oneself, in that one becomes self-destructive in one's behavior. But I think I would suspect that it manifests differently in men than it does in women, and that's why we don't see the same kind of behavior in men that I've been talking about. We don't see this playing of mind games so much, and and this kind of emotional manipulation so much. We probably see more men who just go out and are violent, or are just totally self-destructive, just go on complete binges, become addicts, or do really a series of really dangerous things, risk-taking behavior. Maybe it comes to resemble more than narcissistic / psychopathic personality type in men. The other possibility that I don't want to ignore is the influence of the demonic. And I know some people, this is almost the 20-minute mark of this video, some people are just clicking off already because that's not something you believe in. That's fine. I'm just saying I don't exclude it, because I think the demonic is real. And the question is, why or how does it work? It can work in many different kinds of ways. I believe that it's, we pray the prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, about how Satan and the evil spirits are roaming about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. There's lots of potential for ruination of souls in early childhood. Through the smuggling of all of these awful ideologies that we've seen spring up since in the 60s and the 70s, regarding childhood sexuality, and how a child is actually a sexual being, or that it's okay to just leave a child alone and not really give him any help, not give him any direction, just let him make it on his own. These are, we go off and do our own thing and have affairs and get divorced, and this very self-indulgent style of living that became the norm in the post-sexual revolution age. What that did to children, I mean, the damage that has done to children, I'm sure it's incalculable. And while I'm not a casualty here, because my parents didn't divorce, they stayed together. But amongst my generation, it became the divorce epidemic became huge. And it's only, the sexual revolution has only become more depraved since its inception. And I don't exclude the role of the demonic. So to bring it back to the first subject at hand, when women are acting this way, could it mean that they're possessed? Might they have a demon that's spurring on this behavior? Or is it just, the demonic influence over human relations, over the family and sacred institutions, and the way that the family has been warped over the last half century or more? I mean, something tells me these weren't really, these kinds of things weren't really issues for young men seeking female companionship in the 40s and 50s. Women could still be high maintenance for sure. There was still, quote, baggage that some women carried, just like some men carry baggage. But the degree to which things have regressed on this front really makes me suspect that the demonic has plays some role in it all. So these are just my theories, or not even theories. I'm just flinging stuff out there. I think there is there's probably a psychological aspect. There's probably I believe, from what I've heard, that abuse of children is much more, from what I've heard and read and studied, that abuse of children is much, I sometimes think it seems like it's a miracle that I escaped childhood with with my rectum unruptured. I mean, I'm sorry to put it that way. But except for the guy checking my prostate at the doctor's office, that's the closest I've come to being abused. And that was plenty unpleasant in and of itself. Anyway, how did I end up on that subject? I better just draw things to a close here. Thanks for watching. I know this whole discussion hits a raw nerve for some. Hopefully, if you haven't thought about these things, or if you have thought about these things, hopefully I've suggested a thing or two that maybe makes your mind consider some possibilities. And the important thing isn't the mess that we're in, the wreck that we're the shipwrecked that civilization is today. The important thing is finding our way out of it, for both for our own sake and also, more importantly, for our children's sake. So I'll end it there. Thanks for watching. My name is Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com.